gang, it looks like we are live. Come on in, one and all. Great to have you. I hope you're all doing well this evening. Who wants to go to Texas, huh? I think more and more of us may want to be going to Texas in the months ahead. There may be a vote as early as this week, or not maybe a vote, but a bill put forward in the Texas House, the legislature there, for a full-blown referendum to go out for Texans to vote on a Texit. So who wants to go down and become a Texas citizen and vote for that referendum, huh? We've got obviously some breaking news going on here. The demented Dems, along with ridiculous rhino Republicans, 10 of them, voted to impeach President Trump for a second time. An absolute and total waste of time and money and energy, not to mention just further pouring oil on the fire of the divisions that are already going on in our nation. So we've got lots to talk about tonight, gang. A lot to talk about. And we're going to talk about the impeachment. We're going to talk about the 10 rhinos that voted for it. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about the prospects of a trial in the Senate. We're going to talk about what's going on in the Republican Party as we speak. I'm sure you have plenty of opinions on that one. We're going to take a look at the rising populist movement that in many ways is just getting started. If you haven't already done so, make sure to check out a video I put up, my very first video I put up today on the international backlash against big tech. It is stunning. It is absolutely, even Germany's Angela Merkel is coming out and excoriating Twitter for banning Trump from their platform. Mexico is coming out. France, Emmanuel Macron's administration has said that what happened today the other day was chilling in terms of big tech censorship. And I go into nation after nation that is actually pushing back on big tech. So we go to India, we go to Hungary, we go to India, we go to Poland, we go to, of course, Uganda, where Twitter just got so self-owned, it was ridiculous. So I think you're going to really enjoy that video, and you're going to see, and this is very important, as many people are dejected, you're going to see that the international populist movement is rising and revolting like never before. And it's only going to get bigger and more powerful. So we're part of something that's absolutely astonishing. So we're going to be analyzing this populist movement. It's growing. And we're going to talk seriously about the increasing and indeed the surging support for secession that's going on. So we got a big, big agenda for this evening. So come on in, one and all. Now, before we begin, thank you, Matt. Very, very, yeah, she's filing articles of impeachment against Joe Biden the day after his inauguration. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. This was the dumbest impeachment imaginable. My namesake, Jonathan Turley, has mentioned that. This changes the whole notion of impeachment. Now it's weaponized impeachment. You can use impeachment now for any reason whatsoever. Forget high crimes and misdemeanors. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting too excited. So call your friends, tell them to come on along, and let's have an awesome chat about what's going on and where we seem to be going here with this massive populist revolt that is getting bigger and bigger as we speak. Now, before we begin, I do want to invite all of you to our Q&A, our live online Q&A that we're going to be holding tomorrow night, January 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You are all invited. We do these Q&As every Thursday night, and they're exclusive for our Insiders Club members. Now, if you're not a part of the Insiders Club, all you need to do is click on the link below, and you can sign up. And as special incentive, you don't have to pay a dime. It's absolutely free for the first week. No obligation. You can give it a try. We want you to be a part of these Q&As so you get your first week free. Thanks every day, which I hate to lose faith, but I fear we have no future. Don't lose faith, guys. And I'll bring this up in a sec. Remember, don't forget the Stockdale Principle. It's something that this channel was built on. So we'll talk about that in a moment. Let me just finish the invite here. The Q&A, the live Q&A that we do every Thursday night. It's a great way to get acquainted with our censorship-free Insiders Club that's got thousands of conservatives all across the world, all networking, all fellowshipping. It is a wonderful communion, and we need it more than ever. You get a week-long trial, absolutely free. So make sure you take advantage of it because it's not going to be around for much longer. So now's the time. Don't wait. Click on that link below. Make sure to sign up, become an Insiders member with your first week absolutely free. And I will see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for our live Q&A, where we can talk about these things and dive even deeper, right? All right. So the not to lose hope. This is really, really important, okay? Because there's a principle known as the Stockdale Principle. It's named after Admiral Stockdale, is it James Stockdale, who was the highest ranking military officer to be a POW during Vietnam. And what his men said, the way they were all able to get through that horrific ordeal, was that Stockdale taught them to do two things that seem incompatible but work in crisis situations. One, you've got to deal with your situation soberly and directly, no matter how dire it is. You have to deal with your situation soberly, no matter how dire it is. And you can never lose faith that you will prevail. And what I have been seeing on the internet now is, I've got to tell you, I just see a total collapse in the hope that we will prevail. And you've lost. If you've done that, you lost. It is self-fulfilling prophecy. Those are the guys who die in the prison camps. The guys who die in the prison camps are the ones that lose hope, right? The Shawshank Redemption, if you know that movie, that's a wonderful theme for this prison we find ourselves in. You cannot lose hope. Hope is what gets you through this. Now, it's not a Pollyanna hope. It's not a futile hope. It's a hope that is still at the same time wrestling soberly with the dire situation at hand. You've always got to do that, okay? But you cannot ever lose the confidence that you and I, we are going to prevail through this, okay? And that's why every day on my channel, I try to show you that there are populists all over the world who have faced communism and Marxism and tyranny, and they beat it. They beat it. I mean, Brazil, for heaven's sakes. For 30 years, Brazil had two choices for their president, a Marxist and a leftist. How would you like that? A Marxist and a leftist. That's it, right? Sounds like our rhinos and the Democrats. A Marxist and a leftist. And then suddenly, out of the blue, after all these prayers, a real bona fide nationalist, populist, traditionalist, Jair Bolsonaro shows up. Nobody thinks he could win because there's no way that the establishment has made it impossible for a true conservative, what they call him the tropical Trump, a true conservative win. And he blew the election out the water. The populist revolt, Brazil, was so massive, there was nothing they could do to stop Bolsonaro. And he's one of the most popular leaders today in Latin America. So never, ever lose hope. All right. So let's deal with the dire situation as it is, but never lose hope. That's the Stockdale Principle. And gang, if you lost hope, guess what? Unsubscribe. Go away. I don't want to hear your temper tantrum belly aching anymore. Go away. We had 4 years of win all over the freaking planet. We've seen nationalist, populist governments rise all over the place. We followed every one of them. And if you're going to flip out over this and say it's all over and it's all done, then go away. Go away. We don't want you. Away with you. You're dismissed. We've had it with your just feckless and defeatist, belly-aching temper tantrums. Go away. Away with you. All right. So, yeah, go run for Congress. Become one of the children of moronic, pampered political class. Leave this channel. Away with you. All right. So, for the adults in the room, the Democrats have once again demonstrated simply unparalleled dementedness in voting to impeach President Trump for a second time. Okay, it's the second time they wasted time and taxpayer money in pursuing their ever-escalating vendettas against the president and his supporters, us. All Democrats voted for the impeachment, as well as 10, you heard that right, 10 Republicans led by the neocon rhino par excellence, Liz Cheney of Wyoming. I will never, ever understand why solid red states like Utah and Wyoming and South Carolina constantly send rhinos to Congress. I have no idea what you guys are thinking. It absolutely befuddles me. But regardless, 10 Republicans voted to impeach our president, despite the fact that the latest poll shows that 85% of Republican voters are opposed, dead fast opposed to this impeachment. 85%. We'll also find later on as we go on, 60% think voters think this is a whole waste of time, regardless. So I guess these 10 Republican congressmen are now the darlings, not just of the Democrats today, but they are the darlings of a whole 15% of the Republican Party. Boy, the future is ours, isn't it? Immediate future. Don't get upset. Now, Liz Cheney was joined by the list here. I've got it, is Gonzalez of Ohio, Rice of South Carolina, Newhouse of Washington, is it Major of Michigan, Kinzinger of Illinois, Katko of New York, Butler of Washington, Upton of Michigan, and Valadao of California. Every single one of them should be primaried. I mean, like immediately. We should be looking for candidates now, good candidates, solid candidates. They should be prime. Remember, the election starts in just a few months from now. I mean, in terms of just the campaigning and the like, congressmen are always campaigning. They need to be told very loud and clear, you are not coming back. Your political career ended today. You might as well just switch parties, become a Democrat, but they won't want you either. So already Jim Jordan of Ohio, love him, great congressman. A number of other Republican congressmen are calling for Liz Cheney to step down from the House conference chair. She has no business being there. She is, for whatever reason, the third-ranking GOP congressperson in the House. Jim Jordan is rightfully saying that her actions today are just going to destroy any possibility of a unified Republican Party as long as she's in leadership. Very similar to Mitch McConnell in the Senate. Mitch needs to retire. Mitch needs to go, okay? He's part of an old guard, which we'll talk about. He's part of an old politics that's waning fast in the Republican Party, which we'll, of course, get into in a minute. And, of course, you're on the front lines of that. For his part, President Trump blew the whole stuff off. That's that's all he did. He blew the stunt off. He just called it a stunt. He thought it was stupid. He was too busy awarding National Medal of Arts awards to country music legends Toby Keith and Ricky Skaggs, God bless him, in the White House. He did not give a rip over what was going on in that kabuki theater we call Congress. But he did make the history books again. Trump is the very first president to be impeached twice, and not a single time did he have to leave office as a result. Again, just a total and complete colossal waste of time and money and resources, not to mention the continued escalation and the divisions of this country and the weaponization of impeachment. You'll notice Sleepy Joe was nowhere to be found in the midst of all this. I guess he was too busy napping. Now, as far as the Senate goes, as I understand this, this is, as far as I know, this is DOA. It's dead on arrival. In fact, probably won't even reach the Senate. That's the assessment of constitutional scholar Alan Dershowitz. The Senate does not come back into session until January 19th, the day before inauguration, and McConnell's made it clear that he has absolutely no intention of calling on an emergency reconvening. So this whole thing is done for the time being. It's not going to the Senate while Trump is in office. And it is seriously constitutionally doubted that you can hold an impeachment trial in the Senate for a president that's not even serving anymore. My namesake, Jonathan Turley, does not think that such an action could be upheld in the Supreme Court. He thinks that would get shot down if the Democrats decided to do that. Certainly, Trump would have cause to have any kind of, if there were a 2/3 conviction, have that conviction overturned by the Supreme Court. Regardless, again, Trump doesn't seem to care one way or the other. And yes, just so you, if you're wondering, yes, as I understand it, Trump can pardon himself. Again, as I understand it, this is Jonathan Turley's position. The president has the power to pardon anyone he likes. It's one of the, shall we say, perks of the office, and there is nothing preventing him from pardoning himself. And by the way, again, the Senate, the last time they had a Senate trial, which was going nowhere, absolutely nowhere, it took 3 weeks. So, I mean, again, this thing in many respects is just basically dead. So what are we seeing here? Well, from the side of the Democrats, it's obviously just sheer vindictive hatred of Trump and his supporters. It's cancel culture gone wild. Thank you, Gene Lowe. I think you said something like you were to let us know honestly of when, did I catch when it's over, that Trump's not going to get it? What the hell have you been watching? Thursday, first video, both houses of Congress voted to certify Biden. It was over. It's done. Sorry, there's no human way Trump wins. If there's an intervention, great. But I said that on Thursday, and I've said it in almost every video since, in some way, shape, or form. So again, a lot of you guys I know have been trolling of late, which is sad. It's a demonstration that we can win. I'll put my record against anybody's. Go back, look at the last 4 years and all the elections in Europe that we tracked, in the United States, in Canada. We looked at six states in Canada that ended up winning, going conservative to the Conservative Party. We tracked Brexit from the very beginning, going all the way through. I mean, we've been in the thick of these things, and you guys are just, I'm sorry, you're having a little temper tantrum over this. I just don't know what else to tell you. And I'm just going to talk to adults from this point forward. Bye-bye if you don't like it. See ya. No problem at all. Doesn't bother me. Oh, it does bother me. I'm just sad that the populist movement that I thought had so much power and strength has so many mamby-pansies in it. But alas. So the Democrats are really, in the end, just an absolute derangement syndrome at this point. So what about the Republicans? I think here it's a bit more complicated. What's going on there with the 10 GOP representatives defecting and voting to impeach a president that 95% of Republicans voted for, and the whining and complaining that we're hearing from McConnell in the Senate, I think this all points to a very real civil war going on right now in the Republican Party. And I think that in one sense, my mistake in this was my naivete, my assumption that the Civil War had been resolved in 2016, that the Civil War had been decided decisively. Because what happened in 2016, if you think it through, again, if you were following our channel during that time, you'll see we have videos on this. What happened was that a third-party candidate, Donald Trump, right, a third-party candidate won a major party nomination. Donald Trump was a third-party candidate that won a major party nomination. And what you had throughout 2016 was a populist revolt against the political establishment. It really was the people versus the political class in both parties. Bernie Sanders in the Democrat Party, Donald Trump in the GOP. And neither one of them were your rank and file party members. Sanders wasn't even a Democrat, for heaven's sakes. He was an independent. And Donald Trump never held elected office before. But what had been brewing under the surface is what pollster Scott Rasmussen and Doug Schoen had already identified 6 years earlier in 2010 during the Tea Party movement in their book, Mad as Hell. It's a really good book. It's still very relevant today. Rasmussen and Schoen found substantial data, particularly here in the United States, that, by the way, has since been corroborated by the British scholars, Matthew Goodwin and Roger Eatwell, in their book on nationalist populism published in 2018. So very, very similar data going on there. But they found that there was a major paradigm shift taking place among the American electorate. One where the old political divides between left versus right or liberal versus conservative were dying away. And a new political divide was rising. And you guys know what that political divide is. You embody it. It's the political class versus the people. It's the rulers versus the ruled. And Sanders, of course, got defeated by the globalist neoliberal Clinton. So the only place that populists had a voice was the Republican Party with a Donald Trump takeover. And that's precisely what happened. Trump trounced 15 of the GOP's finest candidates in the primaries, winning more primary votes than any Republican candidate in history. And he went on to win states that Republicans haven't won in 3 decades. So we're talking blue-collar, white working-class states like Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania. The Republican establishment was utterly shocked. They were shell-shocked over the... Remember, they thought he was going to lose. Remember the Billy Bush tapes and given to us by the lovely Washington Post, Democracy Dies in Darkness, Washington Post nonsense. If you recall, there virtually every establishment Republican turned on him. Chris Christie, all of these guys, Mitch McConnell, they all turned on Trump. And they were all perfectly resigned to working with Hillary Clinton because they had more, frankly, they have more, the political class Republicans have more in common with Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden than they do with Trump. Okay? That's the problem. And they were absolutely shell-shocked when Trump won. First Republican to get over 300 electoral votes in 30 years. But they appeared willing to embrace because they're slimeball politicians, they were willing to embrace the political advantages of having a new populist base as the energy and drive of their party. But as of this election and the 2 months that we've been tracking with the GOP and their total inaction and their total and complete abandonment of President Trump in this process, it's pretty clear that that civil war has not been resolved. When given the chance, this globalist neocon establishment, led by the likes of Liz Cheney and Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney, this globalist neocon establishment wants nothing to do with the new populist GOP. They want nothing to do with us. They want nothing to do with the deplorables. They want nothing to do with the MAGA crowd. And they certainly want nothing to do with Donald Trump. Nothing. Nothing. Now, the mistake they're making is they really believe that they can marginalize us and push us out, this new populist movement, right? The people versus political class. They can marginalize us and kick us out of the party and revitalize the fully globalist neocon ideological Bush-Cheney Republican Party. You have to remember among them, bring on Texas independence. Thank you. I missed the name on there. Thank you for that. And guys, please, thank you very much for all the super chats. I do, I'm looking at the camera, but my computer is down here, so please forgive me when I fail to give you the shout outs that you so richly deserve there. But they really believe, as I understand it, that if it weren't for Barack Obama, they'd still be in power. Romney was a great candidate. McCain was a great candidate. We should have won those elections. But unfortunately, Barack Obama was just extra special. He was just extra popular. Put in any Democrat and we'll beat him. They really believe that. So they're trying to get rid of us. Thank you. We're trying to get rid of us so that they can go back to their neocon globalist Bush Cheney Republican Party, but they barely won with just over 270 electoral votes. It's in both in 2000 and 2004. Regardless, what they don't recognize is that ship has sailed. They don't recognize the new politics that's emerging. They don't realize that Dan Miller in Texas. Whoa, very good. We got somebody who's following Dan Miller's work. Fantastic. Yeah. Dan Miller's been doing great work there. Tireless. I mean, he was doing Texas from the very beginning, and it's been doing what now, 20 years or so. But anyway, great super chat there. Excellent. Maybe we can get. So we do these Q&As every Thursday night. Again, you're invited tomorrow night. Let me just throw this in here. We're doing these Q&As every Thursday night as part of our Insiders Club, and our Insiders members are wanting me to start inviting some guests so that you can have direct interaction, and he would be an awesome guest to have. I think that would be fantastic, and then maybe talking about the prospects of a Texas. we'll give the real estate agents. I mean, they've struck gold, won't they? And Texas is wonderful. I love Texas so much. Keep it up. Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. It was a VAZ, and that's all I got. But thank you very much. I thought I saw L as the initial, so thank you. So yeah, definitely. Maybe that's we're going to get some of the major movers and shakers of Texas in one of our Q&A sessions. But you are invited tomorrow night, Q&A, January 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's exclusive live Q&A with me via Zoom call. We're going to get much deeper into things here than we can get there, and then we can get here. We're going to get much deeper, and all you have to do is click on the link below, sign up, and to become an Insiders Club member. You're going to get your first week absolutely free, no obligation, so you can try it out, be a part of the Q&A, see the community. You're going to absolutely the worldwide conservative community. We're talking, awesome Polish conservatives, Hungarian conservatives, Russian conservatives, you name it. We've got Israeli conservatives, Brazilian conservatives, from all Canadian conservatives, from all Australian, New Zealand. I don't want to leave out anything. Brits, of course, plenty of Brexit Brits there. It is the best fellowship around. It's the richest fellowship. It's really going to enrich your life during these very trying next several months. No question about that. But that's going to keep us oriented, right? It's going to keep us oriented to reality during these next several months. All right. So make sure you click on that link below and sign up today, and I'll see you tomorrow night. So I think the Republicans are going to learn the hard way that they can never go back to neocon globalist republicanism again. The populist genie is out of the bottle, and the question is simply which party wants to embrace them, and they'll be the dominant party for the foreseeable future. Yes, we have to get any kind of integrity in the electoral process absolutely established. I would appreciate a lot less whining about it and maybe doing something about it. You might consider that. All right. So given that, what are our choices as the deplorables? Where do we go from here? As far as I see it, we've got three choices. First and obvious choice is to primary every single political class rhino out of the Republican Party, right? Start with Liz Cheney. This party is now the Nationalist Populist Party of Donald Trump. He has, for the foreseeable future, completely redefined the Republican Party as a nationalist, populist, and traditionalist party. The establishment is doing everything they can to toxify him. It's not working. His approval ratings right now are still around 50%. It's not working. So it's our party, and it's time for us to fully and completely take it over. Another option is to actually start a third party to, in effect, crush the Republicans forever. They've double-crossed us one too many times. And I think at least 85, 90% of us are done. 85 and 90% of 75 million is very, very strong. And we could start something akin to what Nigel Farage did in 2019 when he started the Brexit Party. And this was because Brits were so sick of the Tories and how they were sabotaging Brexit and disappointing at every single level. And so Farage started the Brexit Party, and in just 6 weeks, the party was barely 6 weeks old. 1 in 3 Brits voted for them in the European Parliament elections. 1 in 3 Brits voted for a party barely 6 weeks old. That's the power of a third party if there's a demand for it. And the Tories were absolutely demolished. I think in the European Parliament election, they came in 5th. I mean, this was the number 1 party in Parliament, and they came in 5th place. I think the Greens came in, if I recall, over the Tories, something akin to that. It was absolutely humiliating defeat in that May of 2019 election. So obviously, a Patriot Party may be a definite option here for us, particularly if we start at local levels and just trounce the Republicans and then really freak out the political class in the swamp. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that because I think there is momentum for a Patriot Party. There is a third option here, and this is the big one. And I think you all know what it is. It's being talked about more and more and more, and it is, of course, secession. Rush Limbaugh has been talking about it. Alan West, the head of the Texas GOP, has been talking about it. And it's happening. It's happening in terms of the surge in support for secession. It's happening at both the state level within the United States, as well as the national level, where there's a real sentiment for wanting to leave the Washington, D.C. swamp. Now, we talked about this in an earlier video, so if you want to get a little more details on it, you can check it out there just a few days back. But USA Today fairly recently noted that, and again, this is a major newspaper, USA Today, they noted, and this is their words, that the United States is currently experiencing what they called a secession fever. And this was primarily manifesting itself in rural areas. So many residents in the exurbs, right, the more rural parts of many states, they want to secede from their respective states. And this is because those states they're living in are just so dominated by residents of these large left-wing metropolitan urban centers, like New York, for example. And so it's becoming more and more popular for rural Oregonians, for example, wanting to join up with Idaho, or Virginians and Marylanders identifying more with West Virginians. Or even as we talked about in other videos, I mean, there's even some proposals of splitting up California either into 3 parts or a western part where all the coastal cities are, and a more eastern part where the rural areas are. And you know, you may be surprised that these secessionist sentiments, they're actually they're not unique in our nation. They're not even a minority. A recent Zogby poll found that a plurality of Americans now support the right of states to actually secede from the nation. So I don't think it is a coincidence that we're beginning to see more and more patriots embracing the notion that secession from the swamp in Washington, D.C. is, in the end, now our only option. And that is obviously reigniting talk of, you guessed it, you heard it, you put it in the chat, Texit, right? Texit, which is our form of Brexit, all right? The British referendum that successfully passed and separated the UK from the European Union. Texit is a call for the Republic of Texas, once a sovereign nation, to be restored, in effect, to return to its original autonomous statehood and leave the union behind once and for all. And this is serious. Texas State Representative Kyle Biederman is indeed filing a bill for a referendum as early as this week on whether Texas should assert its independence from the United States. And he is not alone. The official platform of the Texas Republican Party includes the full affirmation of the right of the Lone Star State to secede from the Union. And if you are a skeptic, if you think secession is not possible, you have no idea of the size and the sentiment of the populist revolt that is brewing under the surface. I don't, you guys, I mean, you guys know that more than anything. You guys know that more than anything. But the populist revolt is growing like leaps and bounds. And so that's why I think one of the taglines we're going to start playing with, tell me what you think of this in the chat or in the comments below, is that the populist revolt is just beginning, or the populist revolt has just begun. Okay, I mean, I know a lot of you are feeling it right now and really upset, but you've got to absolutely hold on to it. You think Georgia will secede? Oh, we're getting so this was the fear of the European Union, that if Britain successfully broke off, other nations would join them eventually. Emmanuel Macron has admitted that if they had a Frexit referendum, it would probably pass. And the Italexit now in Italy is getting closer and closer to the majority. So if Texas were to somehow successfully do this, if the deplorables were this massive and we all start moving down to Texas and they have a referendum and it passes, I mean, you know, I don't think we're going to be alone. Let's just put it that way. All right. So I know everyone goes, oh, we tried that before. That was the modern world. That was the 19th century modern world. We're in a postmodern world. And everywhere we look, nations are splitting up. Everywhere we look, 35 new nations added to the world map since 1991. It's been a massive speed, a rapidity of new nations coming onto the scene. So don't look, if you think this is just wishful thinking, you don't realize just how big and how powerful the populist revolt that's brewing on the surface is right now as we speak. All right. So obviously, gang, we'll be keeping our eyes on how things develop here. But there is no question, with so many Republicans betraying Republican political class, betraying the rank and file deplorables and MAGA crowd that voted for them and supported them, a civil war is brewing within the Republican Party. And it's one that may ultimately end up changing the very makeup of this nation for generations to come. We will certainly keep our eyes on how things develop there. All right, gang, remember, January 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, tomorrow night, our exclusive live Q&A. We're going to get into things much deeper there than we can get into here. These live Q&As are just exclusive for our Insiders Club members. And so you can join the Insiders Club by simply clicking on the link below. And for a limited time, you're going to get your first week absolutely free, no obligation. We'd love for you to stay a member, of course, but you'll be networking with conservatives and nationalists and populists all over the world. And we need that bonding, that fellowship right now more than ever, that encouragement. So click on the link below, become an Insiders Club member, get your first week absolutely free. And I will see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for our live Q&A. All right, gang, God bless, and always stay hopeful. We'll see you.